Joelle is going to walk us through a couple of resources while you get your questions ready. If you need a card to do your questions, if you're a little shy, we'll pass around some cards. And while you're thinking of your questions, Joelle, do you want to at least give us 4 or 5 sources for follow-up?
So one resource is the Certified Aging in Place Specialist. So it's basically a certification that architects, designers, occupational therapists, really anyone can actually get, but it provides you with the tools to understand these modifications that we've discussed today. So, if this is something that you really want to look into, to find a CAPS certified designer to help you is probably really helpful. So it's certified through the National Association of Home Builders, and if you go on their website, you can find the directory that lists all the CAPS people in whatever location you're looking for. So, they're all around the country. Another resource is something that we talked about earlier, Age-Friendly New York City, where they're basically looking at every aspect of city living to make it easier for older adults. But really, it's really accommodating the needs of everyone. So I just wanted to point out that the libraries, they came up with a list of 10 ways to make your library more age-friendly. With the American Institute of Architects, we developed a list how architects can be more age-friendly. This image is about making businesses more age-friendly. So we're really looking at all aspects of city living with transportation, parks, all different things. So, something that you can look into for more information, but really just showing you how New York City is going to be having a lot more older adults. So, we're really trying to prepare for that and make make things more age-friendly. Then we discussed earlier the Commission of Human Rights. So here's just more information if you want to get in touch with them. They're about making those reasonable accommodations in your apartment. So those are obviously just a very few resources, and there's so many more resources available. I believe Lori said we're going to put them up on the website, right? Yep. So you'll have a slew of resources.
We have 3 pages of websites for you based on what we knew before we got here. What we may do is add a couple from the annotations in the slides today, so that sounds well. So I'll leave you with a thought that you're identifying a lifetime of living. Your goal is renewing one's capabilities. On the left was the day of old when you gathered your belongings around you. Maybe this represents someone in your home. You tuck your chair next to the controller. You see the front door. The mail is collected. There's probably your memory test, the New York Times underneath one of those. Anything you take, anything you want to eat, anything you want to have snugly. And you can begin to see the chair's tough to get out of, and there's no center of the core that's being developed in that. I took these 2 pictures on the right in the center, sort of the notion of our population wanting to live in order to be able to live. So the house is important in that it inspires you to have the pride and the dignity and the clothing and the devices to get up and get out. But lest we forget it, what we really are trying to do is to get people of many abilities to come together and use the items of our childhood, the items of our adulthood safely for all of them and have a good time. So I'm so proud of the panel. They finished with a good 10 minutes for questions, and we'll begin to collect them. But thank all of them for us. Phyllis, Gail, Manny, and Joelle did a really nice job tonight. Thank you, folks. So a raise the hand question while we get the written ones. Yes, sir. Go ahead. How can we find an insertable, and the one you showed was a rubber-style lever that just stretches over a variety of different door handles? What's your favorite source for that?
If you look online, you can find anything and everything. I know Falk Surgical Supplies on 1st and 64th. They have a ton of assistive devices. I'm not sure they have that lever attachment, But the people who work there are very knowledgeable, and they have catalogs upon catalogs of any kind of device that you would be interested in. So I would say to just look online.
Sears Roebuck Health was carrying something like that. I haven't checked this year, but they were carrying it. And you're looking for a rubber lever style door handle, adaptable door handle. Right. And the reason we're suggesting you get rubber is you don't have to get the right size of your door handle. It's a little stretchy, and also it may work for your hands a little in a little bit more forgiving way. Thank you for the question. Oh, I've got another one from the audience, and I promise to take your cards. Go ahead, sir. The question for Manny is, gentlemen with the lighting, is there a showroom, or is your showroom here in the city?
Actually, yes. It's the main floor of the D&D building on
You have a card with you?
3rd Avenue and 59th Street. Horribly, I came here without, not coming from my office.
I don't even know the name. I mean, you mentioned it, but
I will give you something that has that information.
I'll leave the slides up, and if you need me to make them bigger, I will. His M. Ferris, M-F-E-R-I-S, 1R, at lutron.com is where he told us we could reach him. So I'm guessing that's where you might be able to reach him.
Anytime.
okay.
Does that help?
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Question number 1, and I think anybody might be able to answer this. There is a circular step stool. It rolls across the floor, but becomes stable when you step on it. I think I've seen them even in libraries. Anywhere, any idea where to find this item? Rubbermaid. It makes one of them.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them. You can find it at the Container Store, or I know Rubbermaid is one of the manufacturers. I have sort of mixed feelings about those because they don't have a handle. So I would proceed with a great deal of caution with that kind of thing. That's actually better if you're very agile, because the wheels are really there just so that you can kick the stool down the library aisle. That's not a great thing to do if you don't have great balance or strength. So I would prefer to suggest a lightweight aluminum stepladder that has a handle that reaches up, or depending on if you're always reaching the same shelves, you can put handles right on the shelves. Now they have to be sturdy. You can't do that with anything, but there was a slide that I had in a home office of the white metal, and we actually mounted handles up above, because then you could hold on with one hand and pull the book off with the other and still feel like you're pretty secured.
I've got an interesting question here, and I think we're going to need some help from the audience asking this. This is from Ms. Loretta Ryan, who says, will the slideshow be available through a link? First of all, is that true? And will the slides themselves be available at the same site where the video will appear? Would you come up and help us with that, plus where we might be able to plunk down Manny's address and anything else like this list of resources for us? Bridget, thanks again for sponsoring this.
Yeah, well, for anyone who wasn't here in the beginning, I'd like to encourage you to check out the library's website, nypl.org. It's an amazingly rich website. And, for instance, it had this program, of course, and it even has a lot of programs on clutter, which I have discovered by going through the various programs and classes. And we have a lot of blogs as well. And one of the blogs is called the Next Chapter blog. And if you've never looked at a single blog or don't know what it is, why don't you look up Next Chapter blog? And we have a lot of programs, articles, or what we call blog posts, on topics like this and other things. And that is one of the places where I will be linking to the slides as well as the video when that is ready to be posted. Also, check out our Facebook page, Next Chapter NYPL. On Facebook, if you're on Facebook. How many people are on Facebook? All right. I'll see you on next chapter. Like us, please. And there's my, oops, sorry, I messed it up. My email address is there somewhere, and feel free to get in touch with me, and I'll be happy as soon as I get the slides. I'll be happy to send that to you as well, because this is just an amazing amount of information.
Your question and one of the questions about where to get the halogen lights and the remote control devices for lights, which are remote by touching. I know we use the word communicate. We didn't show today communication devices, but I suggest you get your way to either the website or actually to one of your favorite home product stores. I was surprised at how many lighting examples and the decent amount of consultancy you can get at a place like New York Home Depot's or the cousin similar. I'm not just advertising those, but as an example, with the setups and the other pieces you're able to see are even some other technology that Manny and I were schmoozing about, which is xenon lighting for under counter, which has some very wonderful qualities for improving contrast and responding to the color spectrum of the research that he was citing. So I thank you for that question. Now, I think this is a great, go ahead.
The rumors of halogen lights starting fires were really very, very inflated. I don't sell halogen lighting, so I really don't care what lighting you use. But I have halogen lighting under my kitchen cabinets because if it's made by a UL-listed manufacturer, all UL cares about is not starting fires. That's the only reason they're in existence. They don't care about the quality of the light. They don't care about anything except not starting fires. So believe me, if it's a UL-listed product and it's correctly put installed, that's absolutely, positively not a problem.
If your issue was temperature in terms of convenience, touch, and anxiety, because it works or there's an anxiety that you have, take a look at the xenon light. It's halfway, it's got many of the advantages of halogen, but it isn't quite as hot to the touch, which I know may be an issue other than the fires. I'm going to go on because we promised we would finish on time, and it's probably appropriate that we end with this last question, which is the proverbial, what about bathtubs? And I started when I was in graduate school in the 60s and 70s doing some research on this, and I know of very few issues that there are as many political points of view on about as carpeting and bathtubs. And we can go places where people swear by them, and we can go to places where people swear at them. There are tubs being made that fit and have been used. We were talking about approvals. You may need co-op board approval or what's called a rollback arrangement with a door in them. One type is Bath Ease. I will add to the reference list a downloadable document on all kinds of bathtubs with doors in it. My punchline is the higher the tub is, you see them on TV at night, the longer it typically takes to fill, and the more difficulty there really still is with getting in and getting out and sliding down. So my temptation as a researcher is to keep the tub moderately high and use something that has an appropriately long-term sealed door. But I've got a whole panel of experts here. Let's see what other points of view we have. Gail?
Well, we were sidebarring about it a little bit. I have no reluctance to get rid of the tub if the situation warrants it. I've done it for clients before. Right. I think if you have multiple bathrooms in an apartment, then I wouldn't hesitate, because then you still would have one tub for you know, sometimes people are concerned about resale, but I think that's sort of overrated because it seems to me that if everybody likes to take showers, I don't know if anybody loves the apartment that much, they could still buy it and put a tub in. I mean, it just, I would really be more concerned about what works for you and your needs. And certainly if the building has conditions that allow you to put in a no threshold shower, that's really the most universally designed kind of approach, unless you just love tubs, and then you have to deal with that. So,
What
you know, it
Gail's-
is individual.
I'm sorry, what Gail's talking about with the zero threshold, you saw the examples of the threshold on the showers. Increasingly, there are ways that we do a zero entry. We sheet rubber the entire floor all the way into the shower, which makes this idea of rollback, i.e. tub versus shower, a lot easier because you're not jackhammering, which is one of the things that apartment owners or renters and neighbors aren't particularly happy with, and just begins to escalate the cost. Which brings me back to Jerry Maltz, who was introduced in the beginning. There is a tremendous resource for you. So after you tub or shower tonight, maybe even before you go to bed, you've got to look up booming boroughs. www.aianewyork.org. Am I any place close? Okay. Or if you just search booming boroughs, it has its own website. It is a fabulous New York emerging, probably will be national someday. This is a group of teams of people, all different interests, who voluntarily have been coming together, created a wonderful weekend 2 weeks ago, spent a Friday night and all day Saturday in 5 different groups exploring what is possible for row houses, for large apartment buildings, for buildings that never had a life as an apartment, big box stores, warehouses, and so forth, converted into dwellings, for big ideas. These types of study concepts, study groups desperately need your interest. So Jerry stayed to the end so you can get the particulars if I went too fast, and you too can volunteer to be part and take advantage of that information, whether you're developer, consumer, consultant, or all of the above. So Jerry, thanks for coming. Thanks for suggesting we come. Bridget, thanks for hostessing us. And should we let him go home?
I'd like to acknowledge Michael Fagans from Smart Source, who is doing the videotaping so that the benefit from these experts will go on and on. And these 5 individuals have shared their experience, their knowledge, and their good old common sense. I saw a lot of that here, and it really has taught us so much. They've been so gracious to give generously to all of us. We are closing the building. I think there's a program going on, but for most of us, we do need to be out by about 10 to 8 tonight, so I'm sure you want to chat a little bit with some people here, but let's make our way out in about 5 minutes or so. Thank you for coming.